I fought for my country overseas. But when I came home, the people I trusted the most, my neighbors, the HOA had sold my land without my consent. They thought I was an easy target because I was deployed, but they underestimated one thing. I had the military on my side. I wasn't going to just let them take what was mine. So, I did what no one else had the guts to do. I had the military repossess their entire subdivision. And that was just the beginning. Welcome to the channel. We're glad to have you here. Drop a comment below and let us know which country you're watching from. We'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. The story opens with the protagonist, Kyle Harris, a military officer who has spent years in service. He loves his country, but also values his small piece of land in a quiet suburban community. Kyle had always been an upstanding resident, paying his HOA dues and following the rules. He's preparing for a new deployment overseas, leaving behind his wife, Emily, and their 2 kids. The HOA had always been a bit annoying with their constant rules and fines, but he was used to it. As he departs for his assignment, he makes sure everything at home is in order. He trusts the HOA to manage the neighborhood while he's away. Little did he know, this trust would soon lead to a massive betrayal. While Kyle is overseas, Emily begins to notice strange things happening back home. The HOA starts sending her bizarre notices, informing her of minor violations like weeds in the garden, which Emily finds unusual considering Kyle had always kept the property pristine. But it's just the beginning. One day, Emily receives a letter from the HOA informing her that the land Kyle had paid off for years was being sold. Shocked, Emily contacts the HOA, only to be told that the land had been foreclosed upon due to unpaid dues. But Emily is certain Kyle never missed a payment. She confronts the HOA, who dismissively explains that the property had been legally forfeited. Emily, devastated and confused, tries contacting Kyle, but the military communication channels are unreliable. Kyle is out of reach. The HOA claims they had been trying to contact him for months, but the mail had been returned as undeliverable, despite the fact Kyle had been deployed on a military assignment with clear forwarding instructions. Emily continues to investigate and finds something even more disturbing. The HOA had not only sold Kyle's land, but had also secretly made plans to sell other properties in the neighborhood for financial gain. Emily uncovers that the HOA had been using the military's deployments as a loophole to foreclose on properties of soldiers who couldn't be contacted, essentially seizing homes that were paid for. Angry and helpless, Emily looks for legal advice. She contacts a military lawyer, who confirms that the HOA's actions are borderline criminal, but it would be difficult to prove without the proper documentation. Meanwhile, Kyle receives the news while stationed abroad. He's furious but feels powerless as he navigates military bureaucracy. The situation feels hopeless. He has a hard time accepting the HOA could just steal his property while he was serving his country. Kyle spends days stewing over the injustice. He begins researching the HOA's history and finds that they've gotten away with similar cases in the past, and no one has ever fought back. The more he learns, the angrier he becomes. After speaking with his fellow soldiers, Kyle realizes that this situation is not just a personal matter. Many of his colleagues have faced similar issues being deployed, and then coming back to find their properties either foreclosed or sold off in shady deals. His sense of justice kicks in. This is no longer just about his land. It's about a larger issue affecting military families across the nation. Kyle calls in favors from his military contacts. He speaks to a few high-ranking officers and shares the details of the HOA's actions. They are shocked and agree to help, seeing it as an opportunity to expose the HOA's predatory practices. Kyle begins to devise a plan that will make the HOA regret ever crossing him. Kyle, with the support of his military contacts, puts together a plan to take back control. With the help of his lawyer and a few trusted fellow soldiers, they come up with a strategy to have the military repossess the entire subdivision that the HOA had been exploiting. The plan is bold and highly unconventional. Kyle plans to use his military influence to have the entire HOA subdivision taken over under military authority. The team begins preparing for the operation. They map out the subdivision, identify key military resources, and draft legal documents to ensure that their actions would be above board. The goal is not to harm anyone, but to force the HOA to face the consequences of their greed and disregard for military families. Back home, Emily begins preparing for the legal battle, gathering documents, and contacting other military families who have been affected. They plan to present a united front against the HOA. Emily and her kids also stay in touch with Kyle, offering emotional support as the operation approaches. The day arrives. Kyle's team, along with a small group of legal and military experts, begins executing the plan. They coordinate with local authorities, ensuring that all actions are legal and within the scope of military protocol. The military engineers move in, along with civilian contractors, to reclaim the subdivision. They begin by serving the HOA's leadership with a legal notice, informing them that the subdivision would be taken under military control due to the illegal actions of the HOA. The neighborhood is thrown into chaos. Residents are confused and alarmed, not understanding what's happening. But the military has the legal backing to take action. The soldiers begin securing the area, and Kyle's team communicates with residents to ensure their safety. The military engineers start assessing the HOA's records and properties, ensuring everything is catalogued correctly for potential legal action. The HOA is stunned by the audacity of the move. As the military takes control, the HOA leaders try to protest, but they are quickly overpowered by the overwhelming force of the military operation. News of the military repossession spreads fast, making headlines across the nation. People are shocked that the military would take such drastic action. The story becomes a national sensation, with many seeing it as a triumph of justice. Military families, especially those who have been victims of HOA exploitation, begin to rally behind Kyle. A movement forms, with many calling for stronger protections for military families against predatory HOA practices. Kyle and his legal team work tirelessly, ensuring that the HOA is held accountable for their actions. The military leaders who supported Kyle's operation are hailed as heroes, but they are also cautious, knowing that the action could set a dangerous precedent. Legal experts begin investigating the HOA's practices, uncovering decades of fraudulent activities. Lawsuits are filed, and the HOA faces severe financial penalties. The battle doesn't end with the repossession. It turns into a long legal war that will drag on for months. But Kyle feels a sense of justice as he watches the HOA crumble under the weight of its own greed. Kyle's family, along with other affected families, begins the fight for restitution. They want the land to be returned, and they want the HOA to pay for its crimes. Legal battles ensue, with the HOA fighting tooth and nail to hold on to its stolen profits. Kyle's lawyer files lawsuits against the HOA, claiming that it violated federal protections for military families. The legal process is slow and cumbersome, but Kyle's resolve doesn't waver. He knows that even if he has to take this fight to the highest courts, he will not back down. Meanwhile, the media continues to cover the case. Stories of military families losing their homes due to shady HOA practices are being shared nationwide. Public opinion continues to favor Kyle, and more soldiers come forward, sharing their own experiences with the predatory actions of HOAs. The pressure on the HOA intensifies. After months of legal battles, Kyle and his legal team finally receive the breakthrough they need. The courts rule in favor of the military families, ordering the HOA to return the seized properties and pay compensation. The HOA is forced to dissolve, and its leadership is removed from power. Kyle's victory becomes a symbol of perseverance and justice for military families everywhere. He's hailed as a hero, not just for reclaiming his land, but for standing up for the rights of all those affected by predatory HOA practices. The media spreads the word, and soon new laws are passed to protect military families from unfair HOA actions. Kyle's case becomes a landmark decision, prompting many states to enact laws that require HOAs to respect the rights of deployed military personnel. In the final part, Kyle reflects on the journey. The battle wasn't just about his land, it was about standing up for something greater. He feels pride in knowing that his fight helped not only his family, but also countless other military families who had been wronged by the system. As he returns home, Kyle takes a deep breath, knowing that the fight has been won. He embraces Emily and their kids, feeling a sense of peace knowing that justice prevailed. The subdivision, once under the control of the corrupt HOA, is now free from their grip, and the community can begin to rebuild. Kyle's story serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes standing up for what's right requires going to great lengths. And in the end, justice can be achieved, no matter how powerful the opposition.